I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Carden. And this week, I have a special expert. She is the founder and CEO of Pico Digital. Samantha Bedford, welcome to my show.
Thanks so much, and I'm happy to be here. Excited for our chat today.
Oh, me too. So tell us what Pico Digital is.
Yeah, so we are a digital advertising agency. We focus primarily on paid search, on organic search and social. And we've been doing this for about the last 8.5 years, soon be coming up for our 9-year anniversary. And predominantly left the big agency environment so that I can get back and focus on doing the things that I love doing, which is actual day-to-day management of campaigns. And also just trying to have a healthier balance, I would say, so I can be a good mom, be a supportive mom, and wife, and but at the same time, have a successful career. So, trying to prove out there that we can do it all. We can have our cake and eat it.
Yes, we can. As women, we definitely can. So, Samantha, you are in Ireland. Is that correct?
I'm in Scotland.
Scotland. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been in in agencies for 25 years running media campaigns. So how long? So you've had your company about 8 years. Is that right?
Yeah. So 8 coming on 9. Prior to that, I was actually in the traditional space. Okay. So when I first got out of college, I was doing a lot of print and radio and TV advertising for retail. Mm-hmm. And as much as I'm in Scotland at the moment, that was actually in Cape Town, South Africa. And I got a great opportunity to move into the digital space, which was a fascinating journey because Cape Town, South Africa is a third world country, and we were still on dial-up. So you can imagine, I think my dad was like, "What are you doing? Like you're at a top agency in the world and you're going into digital and we're on dial-up." And I'm like, I just feel like this is maybe the right thing to do. And, and it was, and I've not looked back. And I did digital in South Africa for about 3 years. And then I moved over to the States. So I lived in Denver, Colorado, which is where I got a lot of my experience. Mm-hmm. And, at the time I started in the digital space, though, I mean, Google was still in a garage. Right. So it's interesting. Everybody thinks that the digital space started when Google was born. But there was a lot going on before then.
That's so fascinating. One of my very first business actually that I founded went global, but it was the old-fashioned way. I had to advertise in international magazines. And I didn't know anything about online marketing, paid advertising online, any of those things. So that was, that was 32 years ago. But you have been really doing this type of work for, again, over 25 years. So how do you feel like you can set yourself apart with all of the people that are just popping up and I'm going to help everyone run their ads online and you're competing with so many people, but how do you set yourself apart? Because they are popping up a dime a dozen, right? However, I just want to say that does not mean people know what they're doing. And they can burn up a lot of your money as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, if they don't know what they're doing. So one of the reasons I wanted you on here, Samantha, is because you truly are an expert in this space. You didn't just open up your laptop and decide you're going to start helping people with paid ads. But how do you separate yourself from all of these other people?
Yeah, I think to your point, I mean, it's expertise. There's not many people who can say they've been doing it since Google was in a garage.
Right.
So
that's true. You're the first I've interviewed that said that.
Yeah, they walked into my office with a lava lamp saying they're going to be the next big thing. And I'll never forget it because, of where Google is today. It's just absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think outside of the experience side of things, also comes with experience is, the amount I've done in the industry. Like I've watched, campaigns become more local. I've seen web analytics born.
Right.
And
all those things you didn't have before.
No, all those things you didn't have before. And now we're learning about AI. And, there's just so much. And I think the other thing as well is I've got a wealth of experience just working at digital agencies. And I've seen what happens, right? I've seen what comes in the door. I see what happens, when we're pitching business, to a company. And then the next minute, they're in the door, they've signed the contract, and they're pushed off to a team, that's maybe got 3 or 4 or 5 years experience at the most. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that, if you've got 3 to 5 years experience, that's bad. But you haven't gone through the wealth of clients that you have in 25 years. You haven't gone through all of that, experience and education. Right. That comes with that wealth of knowledge, the volume of clients you're working on, the different levels of budgets you're working on. I think that's a big thing, like if you're working on these big brands, it's very different when you're working with like small to medium sized businesses because the budgets are limited. Right. And you need to know it's a very different managing a campaign that's doing X versus one that's doing Y. It's two completely different budgets and ways that you would want to spend it, set up campaigns, et cetera, totally different methodologies. And I really think that that's, a big differentiator. I think the big thing is that we don't pass you off to another team at Pico. I've had 25 years experience and I will be the front person running the paid media campaign with you. So it's not like we're going to pass you off to someone else. Right.
I want to hit on that really quick because
absolutely.
That's a really good point to talk about. I know one of the things that you shared with me before the podcast is you said, I really want to stay boutique. I've done bigger. I've played in that arena, but I really want to be boutique because I want to be able to handle my clients and work with my clients. And I say all the time, bigger does not mean better. So I say this in the coaching space, right? If you invest in a program that there are hundreds and hundreds of people in, it doesn't mean you're going to get better results. In fact, usually it's the opposite of what you would get with someone who really cares and is taking that time and attention. And that's really what you're talking about here as well. So I just want to put that out there. Look at the experience more than look at how big that particular agency is, because I think that is just a really, really important thing for people to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll find as well with like bigger agencies. And I think the other thing as well, so one, bigger agencies, you get pushed onto people. You're like a small fish in a big pond. Right. So that's sort of where you end up there. I think the other big piece is they're getting paid a salary. Right. Right. I'm not getting paid a salary. Right. I own this business. So it's a situation of like, either I'm passionate and I get involved and, I'm working with my clients in such a way that we are evolving their business, or I lose the clients.
Right.
You know, so for me, it's my lifeblood. I'm that passionate about it, and that confidence in our abilities to be able to perform successful campaigns for our clients that, I'm sort of betting my salary on it, right? I'm betting my livelihood on it. And I think you get a different level of commitment, passion, and expertise that comes through from that than someone who's just earning a salary. They're going to work, they're doing their 9 to 5.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, so that's sort of why, to your point earlier, I wanted to stay boutique. Because I love doing what I'm doing, but also at the same time, Pico is my baby. Like, I mean, it's, it's what I love doing. It's why I left large agencies, so that I can go back to what I love doing, and also offer it at a reasonable cost as well. Because for me, it's more about the experience that you have with us. And it's also trying to open up opportunities for companies that can't afford to speak to some of these massive agencies. Some of these companies, they want like 5-10K from you before they'll have a solid conversation. And, and I think that also separates us from, other agencies out there, is that, other than the expertise, there's so much commitment, at least from myself, to make a campaign work, because without that, that's where's my rent going to come from.
And you're able to keep your rates lower because you don't have all of the overhead, and you
absolutely
tons and tons of people and all of the things that go into being bigger. So and
that's also why we're selective.
Less.
Yeah. But that's why we're selective with our clients, because there's only so many hours in the day.
Right. The best place to be, choose the clients you want to work with. That's what I help people do all the time. I'm like, when you get to a place where you get to choose, it's so much more fun in your business. So I love this. Yeah. I want to hit on one of the things that we discussed as well. You said that really the digital space was very male dominated. It's probably changed to some degree now through the years, but it still is probably heavily male dominated, I would imagine. You talked about some differences in being a female owned agency. So I would love to talk about that just a little bit, because I know that this could be a huge selling point to people. Again, not just going smaller in boutique, but also the difference between a male agency and a female agency. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, yes, it is. I would say there's a lot more women in the industry now, which is great, but I would still say that your C-suite is still very male dominated. Absolutely. It's moving in the right direction. When I started in this industry, there was a line at the males' restroom, not the females. So things have changed, which is excellent.
We're so glad about that.
Yes. So it's excellent that things are changing. I think from my side as well, with regards to just being a women-owned business, I work with a lot of women as well. And I don't like to sort of stereotype either. But I do find that particularly in a world now where, we've got these challenges with AI coming in, AI can't show compassion.
Right.
And I just feel like, I don't know if it's, like that maternal instinct that you have, when you've had a child, or, just the things
very nurturing.
Being through, So we are, and I feel like we've got that nurturing part about us, which is just organic.
Yes.
It just comes naturally. And I feel like we're also significantly more organized in our thoughts and a little bit more methodical about putting those thoughts into practice. And, and with with AI becoming so big, I think the biggest thing that we need to remember is that, AI doesn't have common sense. It doesn't have compassion. It doesn't, do any of those things. And, so you've got that on the one hand, and part of AI is great, right? I'm not going to lie. I mean, I love some of it because it makes my job a lot easier to have more time to strategically work with my clients. But then there's the other piece of it where, on the other side, our customers, want to be spoken to as individuals. They don't want to be like, my problem's the same as everybody else's problem. No. So you've got this side, which is trying to churn it out, and then you've got the other side, the final customer, which is the one that's paying the bills.
Right.
At the end of the day, that wants things more personalized for them. So I think a blend of like that, AI side of things, with that compassion that is innate, organic to, a woman's perspective, I think is, something that is going to be well sought after, actually. Particularly with the thought of, a good blend, marrying of those two, moving forward, I think is where we're going to see the winners and the losers, essentially.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. I think an AI is a great tool, but it is not end all be all, and very much like what you said. And AI isn't going to implement or execute in the way that a person can do that. At least we're not at that place. So, I love that you actually brought that up. And one of the things I think that we discussed earlier too is, as women, we tend to be always juggling a lot of balls. And so that actually can really work in our favor when we're trying to run a business and do other things, but it also can really work in our favor with our clients as well, because we're able to handle multiple things at a time. So.
We're able to manage it, multiple things, but we're also good at prioritizing them.
Yes.
And I think that's a big thing. Because there's a lot of things that happen on a day-to-day basis, but it's important to understand, which ones are the like low-hanging fruit that we need to sort of prioritize first, and then tackle from there. So,
I love this. One of the things we talked about when we talk about running marketing campaigns, and I know I speak about this all the time, and you do as well, is the importance of specializing. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is the more streamlined and more niche down your campaigns can be, or any of your marketing, you will, number one, spend less money, but you will also get a lot better results from your marketing. So do you want to dive into that just a little bit?
Yeah, I think, so I was one of those, right? So when I first started my company about, 8.5 years ago, I wanted to try that be all and end all. I was hiring people. I wanted to sort of like hire the SEO person, let's hire this person, let's hire a content person, let's do all of these things. And at the end of the day, it moved me away from being able to do what I love doing, which is the paid media side of things. And so essentially, towards the end of last year, I was working with some agencies, and I've worked with a number of agencies, and I love working with them. But sometimes what you find is they're really excellent at certain things, but they're not so strong in others. So what I decided was I'm going to focus on what I'm good at. That's it.
And what you love. You love it.
And what I absolutely love doing. And, and I know it's a cliche, but you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Right.
And, and as much as all of these other agencies out there are trying to be this one size fits all, one, if you're going to go to one of those agencies and they are excellent, I can tell you those fees are going to be high. Because you're talking agencies that have got, 60 to 100 people on staff. And what we're doing is, we're separating. And I'm like, right, that's it. I'm not going to do SEO. I can offer it. I have great partners that I work with and coordinate with. And we've all got the same thought process and methodologies and passion for our clients' results and, for what we do for a living. But I am focusing what I love doing. And I just feel like by doing that as well, it enables me to focus on my clients a lot more. it enables me to focus on my education because this industry is changing constantly.
Oh my goodness. It's
Oh
crazy.
my gosh. Yeah. You sort of wake up one day and you're like, oh, like you're just reading, about chat GPT, and it's like, version 3 and now all of a sudden version 4 is out. And it's like, gosh, I've only just caught up on the one. So I mean, it's just changing all the time. And, if you're trying to be a jack of all trades, you're not going to be a master of any. And that's really why I decided to just cut all of that. I've got a great network, stick with my network and just stick to what I love doing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm a big fan of specializing. I teach people to do this all the time. It's just number one, you get to master your craft. You
Absolutely.
just get to master what you do. And it's very hard for anyone to compete with that when you are the master. Samantha, I want to ask you, so I definitely know you do Google advertising, paid Google advertising. Are there other platforms that you do paid advertising for too? Or is Google the main driver in your business?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the main driver. The biggest thing for us is, what is the end consumer? So where is that consumer?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Google's a great platform. So we do a lot on Google Ads, but for some clients, depending on their goal, depending on their audience, we find that Facebook and Instagram, for example, works well. And we've got some clients where they split 50-50. So 50% of the budget's on Google, 50% on Facebook and Instagram. We've also got, in the B2B space, we've got a lot of clients that are on LinkedIn. Now, we've seen that a lot of clients steer away from LinkedIn because they haven't had much success. And to be honest, the LinkedIn platform can be very clunky. But it can be an amazing result driver for clients if you know what you're doing. And to your point, like if you're going with another agency that is sending you to someone who doesn't necessarily have as much experience in these things, you could end up spending a ton of money,
right?
And completely wasting it, because LinkedIn is such an expensive platform.
It is very costly to run ads on LinkedIn. It seems like it is higher than most of the other platforms. Why do you think that is? And I love LinkedIn and it's my main place in my business, but why do you think that their advertising is so high?
Yeah, I think it's because it's so unique. Like Facebook doesn't really have much from a B2B standpoint.
Right.
So LinkedIn's sort of pretty unique. And, also, the way I look at it is because LinkedIn is also a platform where people are applying for jobs, et cetera, I find that people's profiles on LinkedIn are so much more up to date, so much more accurate. People will lie about all that crap on Facebook, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But, someone could lie about their age on Facebook. There's things that anything can happen. But on LinkedIn, I just find it's like, one, it's so much more accurate with regards to actual data that's on the platform.
Well, the data, the targeting capabilities are incredible. There's no other platform like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the only reason it works so well if you do it properly is because, the data on the platform is driven by what someone types into their profile. Right. So because that people keep their profiles so much more up to date, on a platform like LinkedIn, the actual campaign targeting works so much better. I think that the biggest thing on LinkedIn is the CPCs are expensive. So you need to be very sensible about how you are setting up your audiences on LinkedIn.
Yeah, tell people what that is, because you're speaking tech language and marketing language. So tell people what that is.
Yeah. So absolutely. So in LinkedIn, you're able to target, for example, like a job function, and you've got the same product. So say it's a product for manufacturing, like an SPC software. Okay. So I know that's maybe too technical as well, but statistical process control. Let's do that. And it's the same product for everything, but it's different, different industries use it differently. Okay. Now, if you're on LinkedIn and you just target all these B2B companies, with an annual revenue of say 50 million plus, with X amount of employees, you're not targeting niche audiences. You're not targeting niche industries. You're not targeting different at their, people at their job titles. Mm-hmm. Someone in operations has a completely different use for an SBC product than someone who is, actually on the plant floor, for example, in a manufacturing plant. They've got two different pain points. So how can you use the same ad for that? Right. So, the biggest thing on LinkedIn is not trying to, and LinkedIn's going to try and tell you need an audience size of 350,000, like that kind of thing. You don't need to, right? The biggest thing you need to do is tailor your messaging, your landing page, your ad imagery, and even your call to action. So, as I say, if you're in operations, you might want to take them to a white paper or an ebook, that's speaking about the pain points that are happening in the ops department. Right. And it's just important to sort of really keep everything as tight as you can to each individual audience, instead of just like, let's do a campaign on LinkedIn. And you're just selecting all of these awesome options that LinkedIn gives you. Yes. But which one's working and which one's not? If you've layered too much into it, you're never going to win. You're never going to learn.
Yes. So good. So good. That is such an important thing for people to understand, because the language just cannot be the same. And I know in the business coaching space, talking about adding $100,000 to your business, for a coach, that might sound great. For a contractor who has a multi-million-dollar business, they would never even respond to something like that. And that is exactly why you have to get super specific on who you are trying to talk to if you want to get their attention, pull their attention, and get some results there. So I'm glad we dove into that.
Outside of that, you'd just be wasting money.
Absolutely. You're just money.
The tighter you get to your ideal audience, the better use of your advertising dollars.
Yes. And when she was talking about CPC, she was talking about cost per click.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. What is it costing you every time someone clicks? So, so good. So good. Okay. What didn't we cover that you just want to make sure we get into this show?
Don't fall for scams. Unfortunately, to your point, there are a dime a dozen out there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, oh my gosh, the amount of scamming emails I get on a daily basis. Can we send you a audit report, because you're not showing up so well on your SEO. I'm like, I know exactly how I'm doing on my SEO, and I'm doing absolutely fine. Am I showing up on keywords that are completely irrelevant to me?
Right.
No, but that's what they're trying to do. They're like, and stay away from any email that guarantees. If someone says, I guarantee we'll get you in position number 1, or I guarantee we'll get you, on page 1, or I guarantee you these CPAs, nobody can guarantee anything in this space. It's all about analyzing the audience, analyzing, what the client wants to achieve from a results standpoint, and analyzing the data, patience, a lot of patience, and having a very good testing strategy, and putting that in place. And over time, you will see that it will pay off. It will pay off. Absolutely. Right. I guarantee.
Yeah. So how long does it take to really get a campaign? If someone comes to you and they want to start running a Google Ads campaign or a paid campaign of some kind, what do you typically recommend before they can see results, so they can really understand the investment they're going to be making before they get a return or begin getting a return on that investment? Is there a time frame?
Yeah. I mean, and it's a standard industry time frame. I usually say around 90 days. The reason I also say that is not so much just an industry standard, but it gives us time of day data, day of week data, time of month data, month over month data. So there's a lot more trending information that you can gather in there. Also, going back to AI, algorithmically, things improve the more data we have. But the bigger piece of it is that we don't wait until 90 days to see if it's working or not. The biggest thing is that we launch with our best foot forward using, in my case, 25 years of experience,
right?
To put our best foot forward, when launching a campaign. But then the other piece of it is also making sure that we are constantly changing it. Just because we're not going to sit and cross our legs and watch, watch movies and drink pina coladas, for 90 days. We have to be constantly monitoring the campaign, and we're going to be pausing keywords. We're going to be adding keywords. We're going to be changing copy. We're going to be changing imagery. You need to be working on those testing strategies and what's working and what's not, and constantly refining the situation. And, I've always said, if you see what I launched on day one and what it is 90 days later, if there is no change, then please fire me or fire any agency that you're working with.
Right.
Because
they're not doing anything.
That is BS. So at the end of the 90 days, you should be seeing like my cost per acquisition is here on day one. You should constantly be seeing it sort of chipping away. There might be an up, just because a time of day or a day of week, so, but you're constantly starting to see that things are trending in the right direction. So at 90 days, you might still not be at goal, but you are trending in the right direction. You're continuing to move the needle. Absolutely.
One other thing that I just want to touch on really quick, because as I help people elevate their brands and build their brands, how important is it for a company, a business, a person to have a strong brand? Do you find that it lowers their advertising costs, that it really helps them get better results? Does it work well with the marketing campaigns? Do you have a way to measure that, or have you been able to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in certain industries. But I would say the majority of the time, if you have a strong brand and people are aware of you in that industry, yes, it does help. Because specifically on Google, for example, you're not the only one listed on that page, right? There's 10 of you. And, and at the end of the day, if someone stands out, it's like, and they'll click on that instead of yours. But the purpose of the campaign is to make sure that we at least become, people become aware of the brand.
Right.
So one of the things that we would do with a brand that's not very well known is we would be advertising on their brand terms, number one. But number two, we'll be monitoring how people are, do people start searching on their brand terms more, the more exposure they're getting online. So that's a good indication of, are they getting more brand recognition and more brand awareness, top of mind for the brand. As you're running the campaign.
Great information. Well, I cannot thank you enough for being here. And how can people get a hold of you if they want to engage in your services? What's the best way?
Yeah, so I'm an open book. You can go to LinkedIn and find Samantha Bedford on LinkedIn. You can email me. So sam@choosepico.com, which is CHOOSEPICO.com. And so either way, I think the other thing I just wanted to mention is also on our website, you'll see under the Get Started tab, there is a go-to-market checklist. So feel free to go there, fill out the form, and you can download the go-to-market checklist and use it for yourself or challenge your current agency, however you want to work it. There is also a 45-minute video there as well, sort of like a mini masterclass. Of me walking through walking through that spreadsheet. So you can also hear, more details on each one of the bullets on that sheet. So hopefully it helps everyone out there as much as I, love clients and would like to get some clients on board. At the same time, for me, it's also about just making the digital landscape a great place for everybody. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we will definitely make sure we include those links in the show notes so people will be able to reach out to you.
Thank you, Anne.
Form. You are welcome. It has been such a pleasure having you on. Thank you for diving into paid advertising, the thing that so many people are afraid of. And I know for many, many years building businesses, I burned up a lot of money in advertising, in marketing, which is why I said I should probably learn about this, because I am tired of giving my money to agencies who don't know anything more than they don't know more than I do. And really just wasting time and effort and energy and money. And so I was really happy to have you on and dive into this, because as you're trying to scale your business, paid advertising is something you will have to implement into your business if you want to keep growing and keep going. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for your expertise. And if anyone wants to reach out to Samantha, again, you can go to her website. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. So thank you, everyone, for being here for another episode of Expert in You. And definitely connect with her. And I cannot wait to get to see you again next week. Make sure if the show was valuable to you, you leave a comment, review, or sharing is caring, as I heard someone else say, and I grabbed onto that. I'm like, oh,
it's a good one.
So good. Yes. Yes. So thank you for being here. You all go rock your business. God bless you. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.